Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of our Corporate Practice 1 class by the Dear Core Daniel School of Law. On today's episode, we will be discussing drafts, right? The draft resolution for reduction of share capital, and this is our 5th draft class so far. Our 5th draft class, that is draft 5. We have a total number of 5 draft classes so far, and we are discussing for today the draft resolution for reduction of share capital. In our previous draft classes, we've talked about the board resolution for change of name. We've talked about the special resolution for change of name. We've also talked about the application for consent for change of name. We've talked about the resolution for increase of share capital. And now we are discussing the resolution for decrease or reduction of share capital, right? And this is still under our post-incorporation matters class, right? In our last class, we talked about the procedure for the reduction of share capital, and we are in our class 29, right? The next class after this, we'll start talking about the conversion of companies, right? We'll start with the overview, then from public to private, from private to public, from limited to unlimited, from unlimited to limited, all those things. We'll talk about it very soon. But if you've not watched the class to this point, please, I will advise you go and watch it so that you can have a flow. Also, our draft classes, I've taught 4 draft classes previously, as this is the 5th one. So there are certain things that I would not be saying over and over and over again, because I want to take it for granted that you already know these things. Do you understand? So, for example, the heading of the company, the address, you already know that when you are drafting a resolution, you are supposed to draft it in the letterhead of the company. I have said it over and over and over. By this time, you should be a guru in drafting, especially special resolution. The only thing that differs when you are drafting a special resolution would be the resolution itself, that thing that is inside. For example, as you can see on your screen, you have 1, 2, 3. Do you understand? Those are the things that you work on. You have to remember per resolution. Do you understand? But that I will start teaching everything again and again is going to be time consuming and it will waste our time. So in that light, we have draft resolution for the reduction of share capital, right? Just as a form of overview, while we were learning the course, I told you that there were 4 things or 5 things, as you may, which distinguishes or the requirement for a reduction of share capital. I told you that your article must authorize that said reduction, not be silent, not say no, or be silent. It must expressly authorize. That's the provision of section 131 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act. I said it shall be by a special resolution. Still the provision of section 131. We've already discussed this. This is just for us to remember. We've discussed it. I've taught you, your classes and all that. Then after that, you are talking about confirmation by the court. That's section 132 sub 1. Right? Then after that, we have scheme of reduction. Then after that, we have it must not be below the minimum issued share capital. And that is section 133 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act. So these are things, right? The 5 things that I said earlier that you are supposed to know that is peculiar to reduction of share capital. Very peculiar to reduction. So, having said that, we also went to the procedure. And I told you that when you're talking about this procedure, I explained it already. Again, I'm telling you, we are just going through it as per revision. So, when you're talking about the procedure, board resolution proposing the said reduction. Number 2, you have to prepare your scheme of reduction. And I said 2 things must happen. Number 1, in your scheme of reduction, you must show how it's supposed to solve the problem. And number 2, you must show how it affects the shareholders, right? If you don't remember this, please go and watch that video. I have explained why we need this in that video. Okay, then after that, we are going to send out notice of meeting to members in general meeting for 21 days. Section 241 of Cama. Your notice of meeting should be for 21 days. And after that, what did I tell you? That your notice of meeting must accompany what? An explanatory circular. I told you that. And the scheme of reduction. And I told you why it must, accompany an explanatory circular. And I told you why it must also have the scheme of reduction. Then after that, we now get to the general meeting number 4. In our general meeting, we are supposed to pass what? A special resolution. But that special resolution is doing 2 things. What would it do? Number 1, it is supposed to authorize the reduction of the share capital. And number 2, it is supposed to approve, right, the scheme of reduction. Then after that, we go to court. That is our step number 5. We go to court. And then, which court are we speaking about here? Federal High Court. What are we asking for the court? 3 things. Number 1, we want the court to confirm our reduction. Number 2, we want the court to approve our scheme of reduction. And number 3, we want the court to approve the minute of meeting wherein the special resolution was passed to reduce the share capital of the company. So those are the 3 things that we're asking for, right? And then once the court has agreed to that, what do we do again? We go to the CAC. We carry a copy of the special resolution wherein the company authorized the said reduction of share capital. We talk about the CTC of the order of the court confirming the reduction, the CTC of the order of the court approving the minute of meeting, and then evidence of payment of filing and prescribed fees, and evidence of filing of annual returns. Then when the CAC sees that, what does the CAC do? The CAC will then give us certificate of registration. And I told you the difference between certificate of registration and certificate of incorporation, right? So the CAC will give us certificate of registration, and then after the CAC gives us certificate of registration, I told you that for the sake of MCQ, when does the reduction take effect? Does it take effect when the court gives the order? No. Does it take effect when the special resolution is passed? No. The reduction takes effect upon the registration of the said order and the minute of meeting at the Corporate Affairs Commission, and then you have been issued a certificate of registration. So upon that, right, so if you are ever asked to talk about procedure, I have explained to you in previous classes how this procedure should go. But today what we are learning is what? What we are learning is the special resolution that ought to be drafted. We know it is pursuant to Section 131 because Section 131 is what tells us that we are going to draft a special resolution. So we already know that it has to be in the company's letterhead, right? It cannot be in any other thing but the company's letterhead. So you know that you have to ask yourself, what company am I reducing its share capital? You go to the exam paper, what question, what company are you supposed to reduce the share capital? Once you see the company, you write the company's name. If there is no address, please give a fictitious address. If there is no email, give a fictitious email. If there is no phone number, give a fictitious phone number. If there is no website, give a fictitious website. And also RC number, give a fictitious website. Note that the address, the name of the company, the email, the telephone, the website is supposed to be in the middle, while the RC number is supposed to be at the right hand side. Look at how it is on your draft. Please replicate it like that in exam. Then after that, you have our ref on one side, your ref on the other side. Please cram it like that. Note that for every draft that I teach you, I tell you to go and make your lecturer to confirm. So as you are learning it here, please go back to school and meet your lecturer and tell her, Ma, I have drafted special resolution reducing the share capital of the company. Please correct my draft. And then whatever she says or he says is final. Now, you go to the subject. The subject, I told you that your subject is supposed to have, 3 things in your subject for your resolutions drafted. 3 things. Number 1, you have to tell us if it is special or ordinary. Now, let us now go to our class when I was teaching you in our procedure for reduction of share capital. I told you that section 131, right? Section 131, subsection 3 said something. He said that a special resolution under this section shall in this act be referred to as a resolution for reduction of share capital. So what they are probably saying is that we should head it, at least that was the debate that people were having in my class then, that the heading should be a resolution for reduction of share capital, or a resolution for reducing share capital. That's the way the Cama said it. A resolution for reducing share capital. That's how Cama said it, right? So we asked our lecturer that since Cama said a special resolution under this section shall in this act be referred to as, like, should we then head it? Our lecturer said no. The reason why you shouldn't head it as such is because if you put a resolution in exam, how do we know that that it is supposed to be special? Do you understand? That's the first thing that she told us, right? You know that in your exam, the only place where you write special is in the subject. When you are drafting a resolution, you don't write special any other place. That's what distinguishes. And I told you when you were increasing share capital and we're talking about the draft for increase and stuff, I told you that, the Cama says ordinary, but in practice they collect special, that you should draft special, but there should be a preamble, because that is the only place where you would state it in the subject. So the subject, even though the Cama says a resolution for reducing share capital, it was more or less like a, back and forth in our class. That the Cama said this, why shouldn't you just draft this? No, the lecturer said, put special resolution. Let us know that you know that it is special, right? So special resolution, that's the first thing that ought to be in your subject. Number 2, for what? What is the special resolution for? Right? For reduction of issued share capital. Special resolution for the reduction of issued share capital. Pursuant, that's the third thing, right? So if you are changing name, special resolution for the change of name pursuant to, just put it in your head, 3 things must be my subject, right? Special resolution for what? Pursuant to what? So you are reducing your share capital, it should be special resolution for reduction of share capital, reduction of issued share capital as it were, pursuant to section 131 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. I told you that you should always make sure that you put the Companies and Allied Matters Act in full. Don't say pursuant to Cama 2020. They will abbreviate your mark too. Shebi, you know how to abbreviate. So make sure you put it in full. Do you understand that? Good. Make sure it's in cap. The way I've put it in cap, put it in full and all that. Now, I told you again when we were learning our last set of draft, I told you that when you are drafting a resolution, it is your prepositions should be at, off, on, at. And I told you how to remember at, off, on, at. He starts with at, he ends with at, right? Start with at, ends with at. Then, because we have on and off, which one is supposed to come first? Off comes first. F comes before N. Just try to put it like that in your head. So at the 12th, I told you that the number ought to be there. They want to see it in exam. At the 12th extraordinary general meeting, at the 17th extraordinary general meeting, at the 11th extraordinary general meeting. So at, off, of Yoyo Bitters Nigeria Limited. There was a debate that Shebi Yoyo Bitters is already up there in the letterhead of the company. Why are we saying at the 11th extraordinary general meeting of Yoyo Bitters Nigeria Limited? Why are we repeating Yoyo Bitters? Why can't we just say of the aforementioned company? My lecturer said put Yoyo Bitters there, put the name of the company there. Do you understand that? So at the 12th extraordinary general meeting, you know that there are 3 types of general meeting: statutory, extraordinary, and annual. We are going to talk about that when we are talking about corporate governance class. That's something separate, right? I've taught you already. When you are drafting a resolution, you know that statutory meetings are just done once. Do you understand that? And it's only applicable to public companies. That, and then after that, we have the annual general meeting and the extraordinary. So you have to look at the question very well and know if you are drafting for annual general or you are drafting for extraordinary general meeting. Don't worry, I will teach you more on how to draft and all that in our corporate governance class. But for now, we are drafting extraordinary general meeting. So at the 12th extraordinary general meeting of Yoyo Bitter, held on the date before the at. On. So at, off, on, at. At, off, on, at. Just put it in your head like that. Do you understand? So, at the 12th Extraordinary General Meeting of Yoyo Bitters Nigeria Limited, held on the 31st of September 2021 at Sheraton Hotel, Lagos, the following resolutions were proposed and duly passed, right? So, the following resolutions were proposed and duly passed. Now, I taught you again, and that's why I said if you have not watched these lectures, there is no reason why you are here, because what I'm going to be saying now from this point might be confusing, right? You have to go and look at section 131 very well for you to understand. And I already taught the nitty-gritty of section 131 sub 2 in my class on overview of reduction of share capital. I taught those three things, because I'm about to start saying some things here that if you did not read section 131, you will not understand what I'm saying, especially because I gave detailed explanation already. Okay, now when you are done with our, at the 12th Extraordinary General Meeting of Yoyo Bitters Nigeria Limited, held on so day at so place, the following resolution were duly proposed and passed. No, because there are more than one now. It cannot be was duly. It's not going to be were duly proposed and passed, or were proposed and duly passed. Now, number one, that the company's share capital of 10 million naira ordinary shares, of which 5 billion has been paid, be reduced to 5 million naira ordinary shares of 1 naira each by extinguishing the liability on each of the issued shares still unpaid. Who can tell me the area of section 131? Is it section 131A, section 131B, or section 131C? It is section 131A. Now, before we go into this and I teach you the draft of what I'm trying to say exactly, you know that when you are reading your question, this is another thing that I want you to pay attention to. When you are reading your question in exam, you have to know which of the three they want to reduce the share capital. Are they reducing the share capital because it is unpaid? That is A. Or are they reducing the share capital because there has been certain losses or whatever, and the share capital which they now have is lost or unrepresented by available assets, which is B? Or are they reducing the share capital because the company now has enough and the share capital that they have is more than the company's wants? Do you understand? If you don't understand these three things I just said, I'm not going to re-explain it here. Go and watch the video on overview of share of procedure for share capital, the overview. Go and watch it. Now, what I'm saying here is, because there are three modes or three ways to which share capital can be reduced. Do you understand? If you look at section 131, right, it says in particular, without prejudice, the company may, look at subsection 2, the company may, right, reduce in any of these three ways. It means that when you want to reduce your share capital, you have to look at the question very well and understand, does this question fall under A? Is it that they have not fully paid this thing, so it's A? Or that the assets, the share capital is lost or represented by assets? Is that the issue here? Or is it that it is in excess of the company's wants? So that when you are couching it, you would know how to couch it. Do you understand that? Now, in this scenario now, the company, they had 10 million naira ordinary shares, right, of 1 naira each, of which 5 million has been paid. Right? Only 5 million has been paid. And they want to reduce their share capital to 5 million naira ordinary share of 1 naira each by extinguishing the liability on each of the issued shares still unpaid. Which one are we talking about here? We're talking about A. Look at A. I want you to carry your section 131. Extinguish or reduce the liability on any of its shares in respect to share capital still unpaid. And I told you, when I was teaching you then, I told you that if the company has 10 naira as its issue share capital, right, and they've only paid for 5, the total shareholders have paid for 5 naira. It means that there is 5 naira that they have not paid for. The company can, extinguish it, can reduce it to just 5 naira and cancel, although it has allotted to the shareholders, but because they have not paid, he can cancel it. That is the first one. So that the company's share capital of 10 million naira ordinary shares of 1 naira each. Do you understand? 10 million naira ordinary shares of 1 naira each, of which just 5 million has been paid, be reduced to 5 million ordinary shares of 1 naira each. By what? You see this by, that is what is important. That's what they want to ask. That's what they want to see. By what? Are you coming under A, B, or C? So by extinguishing the liability on each of the issued shares still unpaid. So because look at A says that you can reduce by extinguishing or reducing the liability on your shares that has not been paid. So you can say still unpaid, or you can say not paid, because the Cama even used not paid or not paid up, right? So the Cama used not paid up, I used unpaid. So it's still the same thing, anyhow you want to put it, but you get the idea. You want to reduce your share capital, which is 100 million naira ordinary shares of 1 naira each. You want to reduce it to 5 million ordinary shares of 1 naira each. But you have to tell us that you are reducing it from 100 million ordinary shares of 1 naira each, which only 5 million has been paid. 5 million naira has been paid for, right? So you are reducing it because 5 million naira has been paid for to 5 million ordinary shares of 1 naira each by what? By extinguishing the liability on each of the issued shares still unpaid. Do you understand that? So what they want to see, look at it. I want you to think. So let me give an analogy that maybe you can understand what I'm saying, right? So we are saying that, okay, you are in school, you do not have money, and you wanted to pay your school fees, and then, someone then borrowed you 10,000 naira to pay your school fees. Out of that 10,000 naira, you struggled. Then you pay that person 5,000 naira back, right? Now that you have paid the person 5,000, and the person kept on asking, Alpha, where is the balance? Alpha, where is the balance? At some point, the person got tired, and then the person said, you know what? Don't worry, I will just reduce the money that you owe me. Take that 5,000. I will reduce the money that you owe me to 5,000. So let us see if we can couch it. That the debt owed, right? The debt owed, which is ordinarily supposed to be 10,000 naira, right? The debt owed, which is ordinarily supposed to be 10,000 naira, of which 5,000 naira has been paid. Do you understand? Be reduced to 5,000 naira. So I am reducing your debt, which is 10,000 that I borrowed you. I am reducing it to 5,000 naira because you have paid just 5,000 naira. So I'm reducing it to 5,000 naira so I have to say, how am I reducing it? I am extinguishing, I am freeing you of all liability on your unpaid money. That's basically what I'm saying. Do you understand? So here I am saying that the company, now you have to tell us the position right now first. The company right now has a share capital of 10 million naira ordinary shares of 1 naira each, of which 5 million has been paid. Do you understand that? It has 10 million naira ordinary shares, 1 naira each, of which 5 million of it has been paid. And we want to reduce it to 5 million naira ordinary shares. Do you understand? By extinguishing the liability. So you tell us, where are we right now? We have 10 million naira ordinary shares of 1 naira each. Okay. How many people has paid? This number of people has paid. Now we want to reduce it to this. How do we want to reduce it? By this. Just put it in your head in that flow, like that. Do you understand? Or let's go to the number 2. Now, notice that I said or. So now we are done with the first one, right? And we understand it under A. Now we are going to the second one. Now the second one is that the company's share capital of 10 million naira shares of 1 naira each, of which 10 million naira has been paid, be reduced to 5 million naira ordinary shares of 1 naira each by extinguishing the liability on each of the issued share by cancelling the unpaid share capital in excess of the company's wants. Now, do you get my point? This one now, we'll see it under C. Let's go to C. C says either with or without extinguishing or reducing liability on any of its shares, cancel any paid up share capital which is in excess of the company's wants. Do you see that? Cancel any paid up share capital which is in excess of the company's wants. So in this case, we are saying that the company has a share capital of 10 million naira ordinary shares of 1 naira each. That's the position right now, of which 10 million naira has been paid. You can say of which 10 million naira has been paid, or you can say of which all the issued share capital has been paid. Do you understand? It's the same thing. Of which all the issued share capital has been paid, of which 10 million naira has been paid. We have 10 million naira ordinary shares of 1 naira each. So if you say of which 10 million naira has been paid, it means all has been paid. Of which all has been paid is still the same thing. Do you understand? So ask your lecturer which one is better. Right? Has been paid, be reduced to 5 million. You are saying that you have 10 million naira ordinary shares. You are saying that the entire 10 million naira ordinary shares have been paid. You are now saying that you want to reduce it to 5 million. Okay, that has been given us authority by what? By section C, 131 sub C of Cama, which says that either with or without extinguishing or reducing liability on any of its shares, cancel any paid up share capital. You can cancel paid up share capital. I've explained it to you previously. You can cancel paid up share capital where it exceeds your company's worth. So that's why I said here that, okay, we have 10 million naira ordinary shares of 1 naira each. Do you understand that? Of which you should just follow it. Of which how many has been paid for? 10 million naira has been paid for. Of which all of the issued share capital has been paid for. Right? We want to reduce it to what? We are reducing it to 5 million ordinary shares of 1 naira each. By what? By extinguishing the liability on each of the issued share. Now, you see that statement, by extinguishing the liability, you must say it, because is it that you want to extinguish the liability or you don't want to? Because the Cama says, if you look at section 131C, it says either with or without extinguishing or reducing the liability. Are you extinguishing the liability? Are you reducing the liability? Look at your question. What did he say you should do? Did he tell you to extinguish it? Did he tell you to reduce it? Generally, law school would not even reason to that extent. Do you understand? They will just say they want to reduce their share capital. So naturally, you just want to say they extinguish the liability, right? So if you are extinguishing it, that's fine. If you are reducing it, that's fine. If you are not extinguishing it, you say without extinguishing the liability. Do you understand? So by extinguishing the liability, if you are extinguishing it, if you are not extinguishing it, without extinguishing the liability on each of the issued share. Do you understand that? Because the Cama says that. Do you get my point? Now, let's go on. We are saying that the company's issued share capital of 10 million naira shares of 1 naira each, right, which has been paid for, or of which 10 million naira has been paid, be reduced to 5 million naira by extinguishing the liability by cancelling the paid up share capital in excess of the company's wants. Do you understand that? So the first one is because it was unpaid. And the Cama says, A, that where it is unpaid, you can extinguish. So you will say 10 million naira, of which 5 million has been unpaid. You have to show that you are coming under section 131A, right? That's 1312A. Saying that, yes, it is 10 million naira, Abi, but just 5 has been paid. Therefore, we want to reduce to 5 by extinguishing the liability on the issued shares still unpaid. Or you come under C, where you are saying that, 10 million naira, of which all has been paid, or of which 10 has been paid, but we still want to cancel, right? We want to cancel the other parts, right? We want to reduce it to 5 million naira by extinguishing the liability, by cancelling the paid up share capital in excess of the company's wants. Do you understand that? Or we go to number 3. Number 3 says that the company's share capital of 10 million naira ordinary shares of 1 naira each, of which 10 million naira has been paid for, be reduced to 5 million naira ordinary shares of 1 naira each by extinguishing the liability on each of the issued shares by cancelling the paid up share capital lost or unrepresented by available assets. Let us read the B section. It says, either with or without extinguishing or reducing liability on any of its shares, cancel any paid up share capital which is lost or unrepresented by assets. So you can see why we can have that. Right? You can see why we can have that. So it's the same thing. When you are talking about B and C, the shareholders have paid for it. So you have to say that you are cancelling the paid up share. That is the part. You are extinguishing the liability on each of the issued share by cancelling the paid up share lost or unrepresented by assets. That is B. By cancelling the paid up share in excess of the company's wants. That is C. Or you are saying that you are extinguishing the liability on shares that are still unpaid. Do you understand that? Are you seeing the differences? I want you to note it down. When you are drafting, okay, we have 10 million. How many people has paid? These people have paid, Abi. 5 million naira has been paid. Right? We want to reduce this to so and so. How do you want to reduce it? By extinguishing the liability on the issued share capital. Which method? Is it by cancelling up the paid up share for because of the company's want, or by cancelling up the paid up share because it's lost and unrepresented by assets, or because it is unpaid? Simple. It's not hard. Once you understand that, my class where I taught you the procedure, the overview rather, where I taught you the overview, and I broke down these three things and told you how they are different. You mix it up with this draft class now, where I'm teaching you that, okay, when you are drafting, this is how you are supposed to reduce it and all that. Once you put the both of them together, it's quite easy. Do you understand? It's actually quite easy, right? And then lastly, because this class is getting way too long, lastly, we then talk about the fact that there has to be scheme of reduction. I think I taught you when I was teaching you the procedural class. So there has to be that couch, right, for the scheme of reduction. Now, naturally, anybody will say that the scheme of reduction be and is hereby approved. Please go and meet your lecturer so that they can, this draft that I'm giving you shouldn't be the final thing. Go and meet your lecturers. Know the reason why each of these things are there, right? Meet your lecturers so that they can give you better information. But me, I am here to guide you so that you would, some people are just in law school and they are totally lost. They are like, what is going on? So this is supposed to be a guide, but the rubber stamp, the final say should be your lecturers. Do you understand that? So that the scheme of reduction, some people will say that the scheme of reduction be and is hereby approved. Now, I can remember my lecturer saying that we should say that the scheme of reduction, and we should continue with what that scheme of reduction is supposed to do. That will say that be and is hereby approved. So you just choose the one that you have done up. You just put it inside. That the scheme of reduction containing the mode of reducing the company's issued share capital of 10 million naira ordinary shares of 1 naira each, of which 5 million has been paid, to be reduced to 5 million naira ordinary shares of 1 naira each by extinguishing the liability of the issued share capital by cancelling the paid up share capital in excess of the company's wants, be and is hereby approved. So you see what you are adding is still the same thing that is up, ladies and gentlemen. It's still the same thing that is up. That is why I have bolded it for you to see it. It's still the same thing that you have put up. Whatever you put up, whatever mode that you put up, just take this, that the scheme of reduction containing the mode of reducing the, just take that, and at the end put B and is hereby approved. That's all. The scheme of reduction containing the mode of reducing the, you go up, look at up, you see, containing the mode of reducing the company's issued share capital of blah blah blah. Do you understand? Just download it like that, but put in the middle, you see that two that I underlined. You have to put it there because that is what will make it grammatically correct. Do you understand? So you see that the scheme of reduction containing the mode of reducing the company's issued share capital of 10 million naira, ordinary shares of 1 naira each, of which 5 million have been paid, to be reduced to 5 million naira. So that scheme of reduction is what is containing the mode to which you want to reduce it, and then you have to say to be reduced to 5 million naira by extinguishing so and so be and is hereby approved. Do you understand that? You can see that it's not hard. Once you just put that, the scheme of reduction containing the mode of reducing, just go and carry that up, right? Carry that up, put it down, download it there, and at the end of the day, put comma, be and is hereby approved. Now, like I said, some lecturers will say, why are you putting it? It's already there. There's no need putting it again down, right? But other lecturers will say, well, for us to know the scheme of reduction exactly, that there can be one or two schemes, right? That for us to know which one that the members approved, it is better for us to put the whole thing inside the place of the scheme. So it just depends on what your lecturer wants. But I want you to know, right, that when you are drafting, this is how, like, you should have like a flow in your head that, okay, we are supposed to have the clause that has the part where they will approve or authorize that there should be reduction. And we are supposed to also have a place where we are supposed to authorize the scheme of reduction, right? So because we are supposed to have these two places, how do I couch these two places? Okay, this one, what do I want to reduce it from? I am reducing it from 10 million ordinary shares. What am I coming under? A, B, or C? If I'm coming under A, it means that if there are 10 million ordinary shares, then they did not pay for some of them. So it's just 5 million that has been paid for, and I want to extinguish the liability on the issued share that are still unpaid. Do you understand that? Okay, I'm coming under B. B is that the assets are lost and unrepresented. Right? Okay, so which means that they've paid for all. Okay, so we have 10 million naira to which they have paid for all, and I want to reduce it to 5 million naira, right, by extinguishing their liability, right, of which I want to cancel up the paid up share capital that is now lost and unrepresented by assets. It's just think about it. You will go with the flow. I am going from here to here, right? I am going from 10 million naira, of which how many has been paid? I'm going from that to this by what, right? Which, do you understand? Just think of it. It's a flow, right? And then lastly, which is the number 3, right? That the memorandum of articles and association be altered. That the memorandum and articles of association, those are not my words. Go to that same section 131 sub C. Look at that part. And the company may, if and so far as is necessary, alter its memorandum by reducing the amount of its share capital and its shares accordingly. So if it also reflects in your article, then you should alter your memorandum and article of association. That you can see is there. Now, dated this dash day, right? You can remember our song. When you're drafting the resolution, you don't date up, you date down, right? I mean, if you can sing it, that's fine. But because this is too long, we don't have time for that anymore, right? If you don't know the song I'm talking about, so that you can remember, please go and watch our other draft classes. And then I told you director, or director, secretary, but me, I prefer director. Do you understand that? And then lastly, make sure that you sign. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you sign. For the purpose of law school, make sure that they want you to sign. They don't take that signature lightly. So with that, I think we are done with our draft class, our draft 5 class, right? I will see you in our next class, where we now begin full-fledged. We begin the overview of conversion or re-registration of companies. So we are going to the second fold of our leg 2, or our second tranche of post-incorporation matters. So I told you that there are 3 pillars of post-incorporation matters. The first one is preliminary steps to be taken before the commencement of business. The second one is the conversion and re-registration of companies or alteration of registered document. The third one is company searches. So now we are going to that second fold. We are done with alteration of registered documents, change of object clause, change of name clause, and all that, increase of share capital, reduction of share capital, change of registered address, blah blah blah. We are done with that. Now we are going to where? We are going to conversion now. Conversion and re-registration of companies. Immediately after that, we'll go to our last pillar, which is corporate searches. Corporate searches, and we will be done with post-incorporation matters. I hope you enjoyed this class. I will see you in my next class. Please have a very wonderful day.